Okay, so now understand like how this memory allocation happens, like how JavaScript code runs, and like in browser how it works. Okay, so we'll use the same example which we're using. Okay, so this is our code. Like I just changed the value from x to a, so there is some reason I'll tell. And then after, this is our function and this is what we'll call. So right now, to run this, to understand like how memory allocation happens, here I will use a debugger here, and this is the same code you can see under source. You will see. Okay, so let's do that. And yes, right now if you'll see, our code is here. Okay, and if you'll see this part, scope, under scope there is called global, and this is our memory area. And if you'll expand this, you will find a in the very first a, and it has been allocated to like a has been allocated a special kind of keyword which is undefined. Okay, I can see, right? So like as you saw in the code, like how it's running. So in the first phase, what JavaScript does, like execution context, like it JavaScript codes run in two phases, if you remember, right? So in first phase it allocates memory. So right now it allocated undefined to a. And what will happen in case of get name? Yes, you're right, the whole code will put in, like if you will search here, get name, scroll, and yes, as you can see, get name has like the whole function itself is stored, right? There is no undefined for the function. Now if you run this code right now, we haven't started the actually execution of the code, right? We have just in the first, we are right now in the first phase, like memory allocation. Now if we'll iterate, so just move right now and next. Now if we'll check the console here, you see Java. Let's understand hoisting in JavaScript. It got printed. This is the thing, right? And then after, let's iterate it, and right now we are at the console here, and then after done. And if we'll check the console, we'll have the whole thing, like this one 7 got printed. And then, so this is like how code is running right now. Now what will happen if we will do this? Let's cut this and same way put debugger. Okay, and now we'll run this. Okay, so let's change it. Yes, now what we'll do, yes, now our debugger started. Now if you will see right now, get name. Okay, so what will be stored under get name? Let's check. This is very important, like what we are discussing right now. This is very important. Yeah, so now let's understand. So for get name, a value, and this get name, all these things are already present, like this value has been allocated already. So if you run this, what will be printed? Let's check the console simultaneously and run it. Okay, now if you'll go to console, the first line, like let's understand hoisting in JS will be printed. It got printed, right? Now if you will go again to the source and check here, even if you'll move the cursor, you'll see the value. If you'll move the cursor to a, you are seeing undefined, right? Because a has been not initialized. A have like just allocated a memory. There is no value right now. Okay, so if you'll run this, you'll see console undefined and so on. If you'll go to this and if you'll run this, the whole function will be printed and done. Now see, the whole function got printed. So this is like very important. Like now I hope you have idea like what's happening here, right? Okay, so now let me tell you one more thing. It's very important, like what is undefined and what is not defined. Okay, so let's remove this variable from here. Okay, and we'll use the same code. Okay, so let's just save it. Okay, now we have the same code, and let's, so here what will happen. Right now we have reserved the value for get name only, not for a is not there. There is like a, we did not reserve value for a, right? And if you'll check, like just if you'll search for a, there will be no a, because we have not initialized a, we are not reserving value for a, right? So there will be no. So what will happen next, if we will move forward and JavaScript will try to access a, so it will throw an error, and let's see what error will be that. Oops, here we are. It is saying a is not defined. So a is not defined here. So this is like the very basic difference between undefined and not defined. So yeah, this is JavaScript, man. Like this is how it behaves. So this is really interesting, like how hoisting works in JavaScript. What is hoisting? So yes, so there is one more point I'll be discussing. So now what we'll do, let me just undo this code. Okay, save it. Now what we'll do, let's make this get name as an arrow function. Okay, yeah, so now this is our code. Let's refresh it. Now tell me, what do you expect to see in the console when we'll run it? Okay, so let's see. Now we have started the code. Okay, now if you'll see one thing, it's very interesting. Let's run this and I'll explain what happens. Whoa, it is saying get name is not a function, and in the console you'll get an error like get name is not a function. Why get name is not a function? Arrow function is also a function, right? So when we initialize like a function as an arrow function, it actually doesn't work how function works. It will be considered in JavaScript as a variable, like this a. Okay, and so to prove that, let me show you something. Let me refresh it, let me run it, and if you remember, we have discussed like for variable in the memory, it stores as a undefined, right? Like if you can see, like a, it has been allocated undefined, right? So now let's search for get name. So just get name, here we are get name, and if you see get name is allocated as an undefined value. So in JavaScript, arrow function is considered as a variable. It doesn't work how function works. To understand, like let me explain this in like one more example. So let's function get name 2. This is a function. Okay, now let's save it, let's stop it now, and now what we'll do, we started the debugger. Now let's iterate, and now search for getName2 and see how memory allocation happened for getName2. So we can find getName2 and you can see here getName2 is like it has stored like as a function, like the whole function itself is stored in the getName2. So if you will write function with this syntax, it will be considered, I mean it will like memory allocation happen for this as like function. But if you write function with this like arrow functions, the memory allocation will happen on like based on like as a variable, right? And yeah, there is another way to declare a function. So how it will be like, where get name3 is equal to function so tell me what will happen in this case. I mean it doesn't matter. So how it will be treated, as a function or as a variable? Okay, let's see that also. Save it, let's refresh it, and let's start the debugger, and we will see that now. As you can see, a is undefined, and then after go to get name series. Yes, get name, if you see here, get name is the arrow function, it will be considered as a variable. Get name 2 is a function, like with this syntax it will be considered as a function and the whole code will be stored. And this is the new thing, like this is also one way to declare a function in JavaScript, and this will also considered as a variable. So yeah, I mean hope now you have like clear understanding like how this memory allocation things works.